What's up, you guys? I'm here with a new video today, and inside this box is what I promised you guys. This is my off-season Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, Slim, what do you mean off-season Yu-Gi-Oh deck? Well, not only am I going to profile it for you, but I'm going to talk about why specifically I chose this deck to play in the off-season, what an off-season deck is, and why I feel it's actually one of the most important things in this game, and also one of the most fun things you can have in this game if you are a competitive player like myself who has traveled to pretty much every event, every main event, including nationals this whole season, and how it's just kind of nice to take a break from, you know, regular competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Still kind of have a competitive edge in playing this and just have a lot of fun. So this is a personal choice. I'll explain it. You guys probably can already tell what the deck is. You guys can probably guess if you guys know me and follow my channel for as long as you have. But our sponsor, of course, Prize Card Minerva, will be our, this will be our sponsor. Pretty much that'll give the deck away. But yeah, and of course the mat will probably give it away too, what we're playing. But inside here, you guys, is my casual Yu-Gi-Oh deck. So we're going to get into it. And yes, I am still playing hand traps, even if it's casual, you know, still got to be able to be competitive and still need to be able to win. So, yep, you guys already know. You guys see the Minerva. You guys probably already know what the deck is. And what this deck is you guys can tell, it's not 60 cards. It's not. It's actually 40. This is 40 card Lightsworns, you guys. This is a deck that I've actually been testing for a while now, and I got a lot of inspiration to, you know, change my build and, you know, fix cards up from a video I actually saw on MCole40's channel, where he profiled a deck that I believe almost made top 64 at the UK Nats. I think the guy came 67th or 66th, something really close to where he would have pretty much won. Won out and then gone into top 64. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, but I really liked his deck. I didn't 100% agree with every choice, but I wanted to, you know, try to mimic a deck like that and actually give 40 card Lightsworn a chance again. One thing I'll tell you about this deck is, again, not only did I change it, but I also, there are some cards in here you're not going to see. I'm going to tell you first and foremost, you're not going to find Judgment Dragon in this deck. The reason why is, even though the deck is still fun, Judgment Dragon doesn't really contribute to this deck, and I say that because you have much better ways, much more efficient ways to get rid of your opponent's problematic cards and still maintain advantage in the game, and I think that's really important. One thing I'll say is that the reason why I chose Lightsworn is because I absolutely love Lightsworn. I also love the new Gravekeepers. I love the idea of Danger Dark Worlds. These are all these decks that are going to probably take this deck's place as my casual off-season deck, and I will, of course, update you guys as that goes. Now, what is an off-season deck? It's a deck you play when you're tired of playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And I've been playing Trickstar Sky Strikers, I'm playing Sky Strikers, I'm playing Ultra I've been playing all these different decks in the format, and I'm tired. Nationals is over. I'm not going to Worlds. I need a break, and this is the deck, the default deck I go back to play against friends and just do other stuff. But I'll get into the deck real quick, and then I'll tell you guys why I feel an off-season deck is so important. You guys gave me the 50+ likes, so I'm going to show you this to you. So we're going to break the deck down, of course. We're going to start with the hand traps. Now, the reason why we still play hand traps is because even though it's casual, we still need to have a competitive edge. We don't want to auto-lose a lot of games or lose because we're not playing really important cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I feel like these cards are staple even in casuals. Like, when I say casuals, I mean locals and against friends and stuff like that. So the 3 Ash and the 3 Droll. The reason is these are just the best hand traps. It doesn't matter what decks are being played. They're good against pretty much everything. Ash is so good, such a good one-for-one trade, and Droll is just amazing against pretty much every deck. I feel that these are just a necessary evil in every deck. Ogre is a side deck card. Any other hand trap is pretty much a side deck card. I feel that these 6 are just the most important. You want to see them. There's also synergy with Amaterasu, so you want to be able to have access to these at all times. So I'm not really going to talk too much about the hand traps, but they're there. We are playing a Lightsworn deck and a mill deck, and what is a mill deck without 3 Fairy Tale Snows, or in this case, a Schnees, my German ones that Johnny gave me that I use even though they're common. These are the luckiest and loyalist Snows I've ever owned, so I keep playing them. Snow is like pretty much the heart and soul of the deck. This card creates so many OTKs, it helps so many small link plays, XYZ plays, helps you just push for damage when you need it, and let's face it, a Walking Book of Moon is amazing. They still have left this card at 3, so I'm going to keep playing 3. So those are like the main cards I feel that are just staple. I feel these 9 cards are staple in pretty much any build of Lightsworn, whether it be 40 cards, 60 cards, 50 cards, 41 cards, 45 cards, 59 cards, whatever your fancy. These cards are just necessary for everything that they do. Now to the Lightsworns. This is the first time I've played like a heavy count of Lightsworns in a while, and you guys are probably not going to agree with my choices. Again, I took this idea from the list I saw on MCole40's channel, and it's been a while since I actually played this ratio, but I'm playing 3 Wolf and 3 Felice to start. And I know you guys are probably ready to shut off the video and be like, Slim, you're a madman. What is wrong with you? And yeah, you wouldn't be wrong. I agree, actually. Like, you're not wrong. Shout out to Johnny and James. Yeah, you're not wrong. These cards suck. These cards suck to draw, but when you mill these cards, my god, you just are so ahead of the game. And let's face it, Wolf is one of those, you draw it, it sucks, you mill it, it's amazing. It's a 2100 beater. Level 4 does everything. You can get it out of your hand with Goblinberg. This card is just staple in the Lightsworn deck. There's no way around it. This is one of the best Lightsworn cards since the beginning of the game it's been played, and you keep playing it because not only is it big, but I mean a lot of times it can become a free summon, and there's a lot of ways to get this to the graveyard. Same with this. And one thing I like about this, Trickstars have a hard time adding this card by itself because it's 2100. Now Felice. This card is the card that everyone says just sucks so much. Oh, this card sucks. Oh, I don't get any advantage if I mill it with charge. I don't get any advantage if I foolish burial it. I don't get any advantage like that. Yes, I know you guys. I know that that's crazy. But the thing with Felice that I've actually grown to really like, there are 2 things. Number 1, you always special it usually in defense. 2000 defense is pretty good. 2000 ass is pretty good. It's thick. Also, its effect to tribute and pop a card, pop a monster, it could be face up or face down, is actually pretty good because you're tributing it and you're milling 3 more cards. You're getting 3 more cards in the graveyard. It creates a 4th card and you're already more than halfway to your snow. That was something I noticed in playtesting. Also, the fact that you can send this with Curious and then summon it is insane because you're sending it, you're summoning it, and you're milling 3. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, you can do the same thing with Wolf. The thing is that this is a tuner. This is one of the main things, and this plus Lumina equals Michael. This plus one of your 4s equals your level 8s, your rank 4s. It helps you link, etc. And I really, really like this card because despite the fact that it can be a brick, of course you can get out of your hand multiple ways, but I feel like in a luck-based deck, in a fun deck, in a mill deck that is Lightsworn, you have to play 3 Felice and 3 Wolf. And I'll be honest, so far it's been insane. I've had hands where I've drawn multiple and still been able to win. So the card is not the worst card. You don't have to play 3 if you don't want to. You can change the ratios, but that's just what I'm playing. And then to wrap up the Lightsworns, I'm playing 2 Raiden, 2 Lumina. The reason why is the normal summon in this deck is really not that strong. Usually it's Raiden. You really want it to be Goblinberg if you can, or you want it to be something else or another starter card. But I felt like 10 Lightsworns was perfect. I really like getting Lumina, opening Lumina after I charge or I get a target in the grave. Like, you'd be surprised how often that happens, and then you're able to, you know, just do your plays. You know, worst case, you know, you charge and mill this. Well, if you search for Lumina, you discard, you bring this. This is your Michael. This is 2 pieces into Curious because they're both light, except this is a Beastwearer and this is a Spellcaster. Basically, these 3 alone, if you get them on the field, make Curious, and Curious is like the heart and soul of the deck. So I really like these cards, and these are the only Lightsworns I play. I feel that these 10 are perfect. I don't want to play Lila. I don't want to play any of the others. I want every summon to do something, and since these are the only real normal summons that are Lightsworns, I want them to have as much impact as possible. I didn't want to play Gareth. I didn't want to play Lumina. I felt that, I didn't want to play Lila. I felt these were the best. So that's it for the Lightsworns. Now on to the basically the extender monsters that do all the work. We've got 2 copies of Goblinberg and 2 Photon Thrasher. And I know the guy that got 67th place was playing 3 Thrasher. I tried it. I just didn't like it. A lot of times I'd rather see Goblinberg. Now I know you can make the argument, you know, put 3 Goblinberg, but I play Rhoda, so I really don't want to maximize out on those cards. I feel like double Goblinberg, double Photon Thrasher is perfect. If you start with one of them, they're really good. You start with this. I mean, it is a little more prone to impermanence and stuff, but that's why if you have this, you can summon this, and then get another one, and then right there, that's 3 level 4s. That can be, you know, that can be your Amaterasu, that can be your Minerva, that can be pretty much anything. And I think it's pretty crazy that these cards, you know, even after all these years, they still add a lot to the deck. And I feel like for regular Lightsworn, these are the best ones you can play. There is another card, I believe it's called Balancer Lord or something like that. I actually have not tested that card. I actually cut it from the list. It was one of the first cards I cut because I noticed he wasn't playing Soul Charge, and I just can't play a Lightsworn deck without Soul Charge. Like, I just couldn't do it. So these were the only monsters. I feel like these cards do what they do best, though, being able to start your plays off with your rank 4s, your XYZs, your Synchros, etc. And then the last 2 monsters, I actually really like these, even though even though maybe they don't belong, or at least one of them doesn't belong, but Rex and Spirit Master. Rex, you guys already know this card belongs. This card's a staple. Gold Sark, it's broken. Mill it with snow. Banish it with snow, it's broken. And I still play the Spirit Master. Now, I know I'm not playing any other zombies. This is the last monster in the deck. I'm not playing any other zombies. But this card, let me tell you, this card's insane. The fact that you can just Gold Sark this, out of problem card, you can bait something with it, you can, you can do a lot of things with it. Having it engrave off of milling it, banishing with snow is crazy, putting it back with Omega is nuts, resummoning it with Amaterasu is crazy, gets it back into the graveyard. Like, there's so many good things this card does, and I felt that even though there's no other zombies, this card by its is a really good standalone card, so I wanted to include it in the deck because of all the synergy it has. So that's all the monsters. I believe it's 25 monsters. Onto the spells. Spells are pretty straightforward. Standard Lightsworn stuff, the 3 charge and the 3 recharge. I would play 10 targets. Yeah, you open this, it's really good. It is ash bait, and that's the thing is like, a lot of these cards can be ash, but basically to fight against that, we also main deck 3 copies of Called by the Grave, because, I mean, if we catch their ash and we just start going off, you'd be surprised like what your ending boards can be. If you establish a Curious early on and you send a Felice, or you send a Wolf with the effective Curious, if you already have Snow and Grave, you can basically create Curious plus Michael plus Minerva plus Snows, and that can be enough to win the game right there. So I felt Called by the Grave is really good because it catches all the hand traps that hurt us. Plus this card has just really good synergy against anything that's trying to activate in the grave. So I felt that these were staple 3-ofs in the deck. Just standard Lightsworn stuff and just protection. We are a combo deck. Then for the 2-ofs, just 2 Gold Sark. No point to play 3. There's only 2 targets. You guys are probably wondering, what if you open your targets? Well, then we Gold Sark for cards like Soul Charge or Reborn, or I don't know, anything that can win us the game. So Gold Sark's in there. It's just a really good starter card. I really like it. When people were playing 60, they were playing 3 copies. So in 40, we're playing 2 with 2 valid targets that do a lot. If there was another target, trust me, I would bump another target in there and give maybe a reason to play 3. But right now, 2 with 2 targets has been perfect. Then just the power 1-ofs, 1 Reborn, 1 Soul Charge, 1 Roto, 1 Foolish to wrap up the deck. That's 40 cards. Believe it or not, he wasn't playing Soul Charge. I don't know how. Like, you get stopped or whatever, you just Soul Charge, you pretty much win. This is like game every time, and Reborn is like a mini Soul Charge, but you don't lose your battle phase. Becomes our 3rd copy of Goblinberg, 3rd copy of Photon Thrasher, 3rd copy of Raiden, no reason not to play it, and then Foolish Burial has plenty of targets in the deck. So that's it for the deck. That is 40 cards. I can't remember the last time I said I am playing 40 cards in a Minerva deck, but yeah, that's it, 40 cards. So you already know the Minerva brothers forever, me and Johnny, the Super Minerva, put away right now because not really playing the deck competitively, so it's going to stay here. I'm actually thinking of getting it graded. If any of you guys know about getting cards graded, can you let me know, is it worth getting this card graded? I've taken really good care of it, and I kind of want to just put it into retirement for a while and just have it as a keepsake because it is probably my favorite card in the game. So yeah, I'm just going to have regular Minerva look over us as we profile the rest of the deck. But on to the extra deck. For the XYZs we play, of course, the 2 Minerva. This is a pure Lightsworn deck. Kinda. I guess you could say kinda. We are playing other cards that contribute to the Lightsworns, but since it is a 40 card build, 2 Minervas just works amazing. A lot of times this card is enough to win the game because you just establish this with Snows and stuff and your opponent has a hard time around it. It's going to mill 3 pretty much guaranteed. They ash it, fine, whatever. You chain Call by the Grave, you get 3 more cards in grave, it's nuts. Can mill up to 6, it's insane, and you can just get a lot of advantage, especially since we play a higher Lightsworn count. You can draw a lot of cards and special a lot of cards like Felices and Wolves, so card's just staple. The 1 Amaterasu, this is probably the next best XYZ. So easy to make since we run so many level 4 monsters, and the synergy is nuts. It adds back hand traps on your opponent's turn and specials monsters on your turn. I love special summoning. What do you call it? I love special summoning. What is it? Lumina, and then using Lumina's effect. You guys already know, to get a Raiden or something out of grave. Just a lot of synergy. 1 Tornado Dragon, just a good standalone rank 4, being able to hit back row. The Utopia package, just because this can be game a lot of times. You just run over problematic monsters. Also really good out to Borolo Dragon. So that's pretty standard. And then one thing I really like about this deck is that it can play Dweller. And Dweller is amazing because Goki is a hell of a problem. And I know you're thinking, okay, this is off-season. Well, people still play that deck in off-season. It's also good in the mirror match, good against any kind of graveyard-based deck. So I actually really like Dweller in this deck. And a lot of times I can blind Dweller my opponent under a Curious with a Minerva, and it's enough to win. So that's it for the XYZs. Synchros, things the guy didn't play. I have to play Scarlight. I think Scarlight is insane. It just steals games. It's big. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't play it. It's just really, really solid. I'm only playing 1 Omega. It doesn't really come up as much as you would think. This isn't zombies, so you're not making like double Omega, triple Omega, and then, you know, continuing on with your plays. You're making 1 Omega, if that, to hit the card. You're also doing it to add back cards from your grave, like the Solitaire, like I mentioned earlier, just to get your plays going. But outside of that, Omega is just there. It's a very solid level 8, but it's not something I would probably bump to 2. It might go up to 2 if the deck feels like it can support more, but I really like having Scarlight as another option to steal games. For the 7s, of course, the Michael Temez. Shout out to my homie Michael Temez. Your time is coming. I know you'll be back. Can't wait. This card's insane. One of my favorite cards to make under Curious, because it's just the fact that you can just banish a card, mill 3, nuts. This is not, a lot of times if you bring this out with Curious, it's pretty much game, because you have cards engraved that like snows and stuff that'll just, you know, seal the game. 1 Black Rose, standard, blow up the board. Then the new card I'm trying, the new Dawn Dragster. This is actually a generic 7. I don't think a lot of people know this, but it's really cool. If your opponent activates a spell trap or quick effect, you just reduce its level by 2, and if you do negate the activation, if you do destroy that card, you just bring it up. It's a negate. We actually make negates in this deck. Who would have known? Snow's like a negate, this is a negate, our hand traps are a negate. I mean, you know, it's kind of crazy. The deck can play a lot of different strategies. Then for the links, I only play 3. I play 1 Curious. This is the heart and soul of the deck. This card is absolutely nuts. I don't know how this card is still around. It's a Lavalval Chain on crack. Basically, send any card you want and add any card you want if this card leaves the fields by your opponent's card effect, so this card is nuts. I'm actually still playing Decode Talker. I'm on the fence if it's going to be Decode Talker, if it's going to be Trisbania, if it's going to be Unicorn, but so far Decode has come up the most because of the OTK potential. That is the only reason right now this card is the only other rank 3 in here. Now, I know Unicorn is cool because it can spin stuff to clear space, but I'm telling you right now, like, when I'm making this, I'm not making it to give my opponent a zone. I'm using it to beat my opponent, because I can put 2 monsters, 2 links in the, or 2 extra deck monsters in the zones and just punch for 33 plus the rest for games. So that is why I have Decode Talker in here, but this could potentially change. If you can think of another card, let me know. Last card, Borreload. Borreload is broken. I would always play Borreload as long as I have access to it and the ability to make it, because being able to Borreload your opponent's Borreload is broken. So that is it, you guys. That is my 40 card off-season Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Now, as I wrap up the deck profile, why do I feel off-season decks are necessary? I feel that after such a long season of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, you need a break. You need to play things. People play GOAT format, they play old format, and that's cool and all. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big advocate. If you do that, that's awesome. But for me, I want to keep kind of relevant with what's going on in the game, but I still want to have fun. And for me, personally, as a player, I really like Lightsworn. I like the mills. I like the luck kind of base factors that go into the game when you play it. And I like just the fact that, you know, you just really have fun when you play this deck. And I know a lot of people would say, oh, play JD, play old Lightsworn. Sure, that's fine and all. If that's what you want to do, do it. But for me, I still want the deck to still have a competitive edge, still be able to do what Lightsworns do best, and that's really like spam rank 4s and monsters. And I want to be able to still just beat my opponents, you know, even in casual games or whatever, and win because I played a solid deck. And maybe one day we'll actually see Lightsworn back on top, because it's always been one of my favorite decks, and I can't wait till it's back on top again. But I feel that a casual off-season deck is always great, and I'd like to know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you guys like the build? Like I said, I got the idea from the 40 card build I saw on MCall40's channel. I already had a 40 card build, and this helped me tweak it, so that was awesome. Let me know what you guys think of the deck. Let me know what your off-season deck is now that I've explained what it is, and why do you feel it's important, because I feel having an off-season deck keeps you fresh in the game, but also keeps it so you don't get bored, and you know, you don't get bored in a stale time where there's really no format if you're not going to Worlds. But yeah, that's all I gotta say, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Shout out to Minerva, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.